So just a couple of announcements. There's still time to bring your food bags back if you forgot this morning. For the adult services. The 2nd through 6th grade High Holiday Experience will be meeting in the 84th Street building. I want to also remind you, you're going to see a sukkah up in the, this coming Monday, we have a very family-friendly service for the morning of Sukkot, particularly if you do not have a school, if you go to the Rosh school, you should be at services and you will enjoy celebrating Sukkot with the community. Sunday night, September 30th at 5 o'clock, the beginning of Simchat Torah here. I want to tell you something really nice and fun, that to begin the reading of the Torah, because we end the Torah, we begin the reading of the Torah on Simchat Torah. We give a special aliyah to every child who has a bar bat mitzvah date. 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade. We already have, 2 weeks out, 71 students coming up for that aliyah. So if you have not called in that you're coming, join all of your classmates and come to the Torah so you'll be all practiced up by time you ascend the bima. And the following morning for Simchat Torah, we open up the entire Torah on the 6th floor. If you've never seen that, join us for Simchat Torah. Make sure you have your program booklet. There's so many ways to get involved, so many mitzvot you can do. For example, our homeless shelter is a family-friendly mitzvah. You can take your kids and teach them a wonderful, wonderful mitzvah, and it's a mitzvah that we very much need. I won't do more announcements at this time. But if you're coming back for the end of Yom Kippur, we have Havdalah outside about 6:45. So it's a great way to end Yom Kippur with your family. What I'm going to tell you now, I said some to the, guys, I need your plug-in here. I said at the Rosh School gym yesterday, but I wanted to also say it in front of their parents and the rest of our community, because I think it's important. It begins with the Book of Jonah. You remember Jonah. If you're here this afternoon, you're going to hear the entire book of Jonah. And Jonah's a prophet, and he was told to go to the city of Nineveh. Nineveh is in Assyria, a country that attacked the Jewish people. So it's a weird command by God to go to a city of a country that are enemies and prophesy and tell them to change. Well, no, Jonah wanted no part of that. He tried to run away. You know most of the story. He got on a ship and he was swallowed by a dag gadol. What's a dag? Fish. Big fish. We don't know if it's a whale, but I guess if in cartoons, people can drop 48 stories and get up as good as new. I guess you can be swallowed by a fish and be just fine. He's swallowed by a fish, gets out, and he still is not happy about going to Nineveh. God insists. And you know what happened? People actually changed. They put on sackcloth and ashes, and they said, we have been terrible. And the book of Jonah doesn't talk about the king, doesn't talk about the king's cabinet, says the people of Nineveh did tshuva, repented. The people did. Here's the lesson I want you to take from that. Even in situations where you think the other person is your enemy, somebody you've had a fight with, every one of those people are human beings and they can change. And what the Torah is saying is, and what the Hebrew Bible is saying, is you have to respect people and not to just stereotype who they are and dismiss them for who they are, to celebrate diversity. And I want to tell you that in this community, we have people of who have different religions in their family, who have different skin colors, different sexual orientations, different gender identifications. They are all part of this community, all welcome and all respected. And that's not always the case. I want to remind you that a few weeks ago, I think it was early part of the summer, there were two African American men who were sitting in a Starbucks in downtown Philadelphia. Remember this case? They were sitting in Starbucks. Now, I've seen you guys at Starbucks. I see what you order. You have sugar, and then you put more sugar on it, and a little more sugar, and then you end it with whipped cream. And we call that a Starbucks drink. And I know you're always there. Imagine if you're just black sitting in Starbucks and you're asked to leave. You didn't steal anything, no crime. You just were asked to leave because of your skin color. Well, there are people who are African American who will tell you that's not unusual, it happens all the time. Police stop them, cabs don't stop for them. So, to respect people of all colors, religions, nationalities is a very important road of shalom and Jewish value. And that's what Jonah was told to do, to go to Nineveh because there are plenty of good people there. They're not all enemies, and you cannot stereotype. Last thing, and I said this in the gym yesterday, so I want everyone to hear this. We're talking about basic respect for other people. Parents, you always need to be aware of what is going on in your children's life, online and in person. There are children all over the city, certainly not just at the Rosh Religious School or the Rosh School, but it's true here, it's true everywhere. There are children who wake up in the morning and they don't want to go to school. Not because, well, maybe because, but not usually because they didn't study for the test. They have great teachers, they have great classes, but because somebody in that class is making their life miserable. You need to know if your child is being bullied, if your child is not comfortable in the situation. You also need to know whether your child is one of the ones causing the problem. All our kids are great kids. They don't mean to hurt people, but somehow when you get in a group and you kind of forget who you are and you forget your Jewish values, you forget what you're supposed to do. And online, sometimes it's even worse because you think there's no real person in front of you, but when you pass something on or when you refuse to stand up and stop nonsense, stop the hurting of one child or another, thinking that, oh, my child is great, my child couldn't possibly do that. You need to be aware because sometimes, frankly, it is your child. And what I said before, how kids have to learn from parents, parents have to say, this is not to be tolerated. And if you are part of it, you have to stand up and be the leader. Remember what Dr. Martin Luther King said? He wanted to be a drum major. Remember, drum major for justice? To be a child who's a drum major, is to be out front, is to be a leader, is to say, in my class, in my group, we will not cause pain to another child. We will not permit that to happen. We will not tell somebody not to sit with us at the lunch table. What the Book of Jonah teaches is people all need to be loved and respected, and you have to get out of your comfort zone and to know what your children are very much doing. The most important mitzvah in all of Torah is v'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. I'll translate that in a second. But Rabbi Levine wants to say this to you. More important than what grades your children get, more important than the next school they're going to get to, is the degree to which we teach them to live Jewish values and to be a mensch, and the way we treat other people. To me, that's far more important than any individual accomplishment. And it takes a village. It takes living the values that we listen to in the Machzor and put them into practice. And the good news is that if you've done things that you're not proud of here in this new year, you can repent and change. The translation of V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, love your neighbor, love your friend, love your classmate as yourself, because they are very much like yourself and they deserve the same respect that you would want. You would not want to wake up in the morning and dread going to school because somebody's going to make your life miserable. Well, if that's the case, then you have to make sure it doesn't happen to anyone else. Shana Tova. Okay, we're going to go to the conclusion of our service now, to the Aleinu.